Apologies for that. Stuart Deakins is director today, not Spike. So Spike, please get here as soon as you can because we are missing you. So that means I've got
take two, yeah.
Take two, which means I've got to say that intro line again. Thank you for that one, Stu. So hello and welcome to Plough Lane for today's Sky Bet EFL League One fixture between Wimbledon and Milton Keynes Dons. Rob, we were just saying, Dons have to put Tuesday's disappointment behind us.
Yeah, well, the last two games we've had something to build on, haven't we? We've obviously new managers come in. We look a bit more solid now. In fact, we're playing a bit more of a low block. We've switched to 3 or 5 at the back, which has made us look a bit more solid. We're unlucky against Sheffield Wednesday. They got a late equaliser. I felt like we probably deserved a point on that day. And then Tuesday, obviously going down to 10 men for Charlton. Felt disappointed we didn't take all 3, but it's something to build on the last two games. But today is a tough fixture and also a run out game, so it's a much needed 3 points. It doesn't matter what the opposition is. We need to start picking up 3 points.
And then, obviously, we go into that game, Charlton. We did see it under both games we've had under Mark Bowen so far, playing that 3-5-2 low block. Are we expecting to do the same thing today?
I believe so. I don't think Mark Bowen's had much time on the training ground, has he? With Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday fixtures, so I'd be surprised if he was to change that. We haven't looked bad playing, 3 at the back, so I'd be very surprised if he was to change that.
Now, obviously, it's going to be an emotionally charged day for everyone here at Plough Lane. How important is it that the senior players step up and, make the occasion their own and help the younger players through what's going to be a very difficult afternoon on and off the pitch for us?
Yeah, it's a tough game today, and like I said, there's obviously this game has a bit of an edge to it, but not only do the senior players need to step up, the younger players need to step up. A lot of them come through the academy. They know what this fixture means to the fans. Everyone needs to put in 110% effort today. And like I said, it doesn't matter who the opposition is. We just need to start picking up 3 points. We're in a relegation battle, and yeah.
Now, obviously, here we're going back. We're watching the game against Charlton. I mean, this is just one of those games where we felt we probably should have got more than a point.
Yeah, we could. I felt like disappointed we didn't capitalise. When they went down to 10 men. The most frustrating thing is once they went down to 10 men, they went and scored, didn't they? But early on in the first half, I do think they edged it. Mark Bowen kind of alluded to it. Great block with Zach Robinson there with his face. I don't think he knew too much about it, and I wouldn't have liked to have the ball whacked in my face like Zach Robinson did. But took one for the team there.
Yeah. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about Zach in a minute or so's times.
Yep.
But how important is it that obviously he can build on what he's had from a very encouraging first 2 games?
Indeed, yeah. No, Zach's got a goal and assist in his first 2 games.
Sorry to interrupt you,
yeah.
But that gets worse every time you watch it. That red card challenge, I know we talked about it extensively on the post-match show on Tuesday night, but in my opinion, it's situations like that make me think we need more than 3-game bans, because that's a leg breaker. Stuart Deakins is laughing behind the camera, but
Marsh saw it coming, didn't he? And he kind of jumped out of the way of it. If he had his foot planted, I wouldn't have liked to have thought what happened. It was probably the worst challenge I've seen in real time for a long, long time. The second worst challenge was probably the one with Sutton United on Lyle Taylor, who was here Tuesday night, funny enough.
Yeah. However, the referee saw this one. But there, obviously, we saw the Charlton goal. You could say it was coming, but disappointed to go behind against a team of 10 men.
Of course you're disappointed, especially given our situation at the moment. And the thing is, I feel like Pawasu should have just maybe pulled him down and took a yellow card and took one for the team. And then even once they get the cross in, we've got 3 centre-backs in the box, so it's disappointing we didn't pick up the man and defend that. We did get back into it thanks to a late goal for Zach Robinson, and I thought Ethan Chislett done very well when he came on.
Ethan Chislett, their incredible run from him, obviously fresh on the pitch. Only played about 10 minutes, but still got the Man of the Match award.
Yep.
How much does that say about the impact he made, and obviously an incredible assist and a great finish from young Zach for his first EFL goal?
No, it's a good thing that Zach got on the score sheet on Tuesday, because he must be going into today's game with confidence. Like I said, he's got a goal and assist. Like I said, Chislett came on and changed the game a little bit for me. He looked hungry with a point to prove, so I'd expect Bowen to utilise him more with the running.
So now, obviously, turning our focus slightly to today's game, we have got the team needs for you now.
Yep.
So it does look like it's going to be a low block 3-5-2 again for the Dons.
Yep.
It looks like, I'm sure if Stu's got the graphics for us. So there we go. So it's going to be Nick Zanev continuing in goal. The back 5 for the Dons of Henry Lawrence, Paul Kalambai, Ben Hennigan, Will Nightingale and Nesta Guinness-Walker. Midfield, Woodyard and Marsh. And then, Jack Rudoni and Ayub Assal and Zach Robinson. Subs, Nathan Broom, Brown, Hartigan, Chislett, McCormack, Cosgrove back returning from an injury sustained after a very heavy fall and a clash of heads, and Derek Osuya. So, Rob, I think the big talking point there, Paul Kalambai back into the starting 11.
Yeah, both Kalambai and Guinness Walker coming in. It's interesting, isn't it? Because neither Osu or Shoko on the bench. We don't know the reasons why, if they've picked up a knock on Tuesday night, or obviously we've got players back now in Hartigan, McCormack, Cosgrove, so we know it's a squad game. So could it be they've just dropped out a bit of rotation and freshen it up as well? With Saturday fixtures, I thought Guinness Walker came on and done quite well on that left-hand side. He's a bit more of an attacking threat. I would have liked to see Brown start left centre-back just because A, he has that bit of experience, and B, he's left-footed. I always feel a bit more comfortable when you've got a left-footed centre-half in a back three. So I would have liked to see Brown come in, but we've gone with Paul Kalambai. Not too many changes. I did expect to see a back five, back three today, so it'll be interesting. And the good thing is we've got options on the bench today with McCormack. Chislett obviously looked, like I said, we alluded to, he looked well when he came on, and we've got a target man in Cosgrove if we need to bring him on.
Now obviously it's the first time we've played this low block without Dan Choker on the left, and it's obviously a very different experience, obviously with Nessa, a much more attacking wing back. Do you think it's going to be an issue for us not having a left footer on the left of that back three, or do you think that's going to limit our opportunities to get down that side?
I always feel, like I said, a bit more comfortable when you got left-footed centre-back. I would have gone for Brown personally, just experience and the fact that he is left-footed. It probably takes an extra touch for Paul Kalambai to get the ball at his feet and get his head up and get the ball going. We'll see how he does. Like I said, I do feel confident with Paul Kalambai in the side. He's experienced, professional for us. He knows what this fixture means today as well. He's played alongside Ben and Nightingale plenty of times this season.
Obviously, Henry Lawrence continuing on the right back. Wide lone players have often made big impacts in games against this opposition. How important do you think he's got today? Because obviously we know the strength of today's opposition, in terms of their style of play. How big do you think he's going to be when partnered with Will Nightingale, who, in my opinion, was a contender for player of the match on Tuesday night? Yeah, no,
both the wing-backs are going to be important for our attacking threat today, isn't it? They both need to get forward and supply that width, put crosses in the box. Like I said, you saw the cross that Chislett put in for Zach Robinson on Tuesday night. It was impossible not to miss that. So hopefully Henry Lawrence can whip some balls in similar calibre. You'd expect them being a Chelsea loanee as well.
And obviously there's Zach Robinson, Jack Rudoni, Aye Bissau continuing up front as a front three.
Yep.
How important do you think it is that they can build on, obviously, a very young front three, all looking to improve and build on what they've seen? Zach, big impact. Aye, big impact when he came in last year. Rudy, an outstanding player in his own right. How big do you think those three are going to do on days when, chances might be few and far between for the Dons?
Yeah, no, like I said, them front three have played together the last two games, haven't they? And, Rodoni and Asau got plenty of goals for us this season. Zach Robinson must be high on confidence. And we know Zach Robinson also played alongside Asau in the academy. They had quite a good link up, and you've seen that in the last couple of games. Zach Robinson set up Asau for his goal against Sheffield Wednesday. Like I said, his front three, which is hungry, got energy. Hopefully he gets after him today.
Now I'm joined also now by Nick Draper. Nick, talk us through the team news, which I am just making sure Stu's on his toes. So when this comes back up on screen, talk us through your thoughts.
So I just spotted the two changes. Paul Osu steps out, not on the bench either.
No.
And Dan Choker as well. So they're the two changes, aren't they, for Kalambai and Guinness Walker? That's it. Otherwise, it's the same. So I am assuming they are knocks for Choker and Osu after Tuesday night.
Yeah, there's no team news as to why they're
not involved. I suppose the only surprise, arguably, is Chislett not getting a start. A lot of people are calling for it. I don't know who you'd put him in for. Maybe you'd have to change the shape for that to happen, I guess. But we kept the shape 3-5-2, 3-4-3.
Grove, who's a bit of a target man as well. Hartigan's back in amongst the substitutes. So I do agree. I would like to see Chislett starting, but who do you take out of? With that lineup is a tricky one, isn't it? So I'm not surprised to see that we've stuck with the 3-4-3, which has worked quite well the last two games.
Yeah. Sorry.
You go.
No, I was just going to say it's obviously it's going to be very much, I imagine, a similar type of performance that we saw against Sheffield and that we saw in the early stages against Charm before they went down to 10, of just being resilient, being rigid, being tough to break down. and then maybe coming on stronger later on in the game once we've sussed them out, basically. Now, as we move on, as we were saying, it's a massive run of games coming up for the Dons, starting off today, as we look to move into the fixture running towards the end of the season. Very early end of the season this year, as we end the season on the 30th of April. Nick, I'm sure you must love that, being a fan of traditional football, not football running into May.
It's too early. Why are we finishing? When do we start? How early do we start because of the World Cup?
We start on the 30th of July as our first league game of the new season. So league football in July, which I'm sure that'll be really fun and nowhere near, way too hot for all of us. None of us are going to Qatar for that reason.
That's not the only reason.
And other reasons. And other reasons.
Question on the way.
Yeah, from Andy Powell. No place for Chislett. Thought he was the key that unlocked everything last game. Nick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, like I think Richard just said, I think formation, isn't it? I think when he came on and changed the game, we changed the shape.
To 4-4-2, didn't we?
Yeah. So 4-4-2. More. I wonder if it was more like a 4-2-4 almost.
Yeah, it was more of.
Plus Marsh went to right back, didn't he?
Yes.
So it kind of freed up a central position.
Yeah, and I think that's the only way I think you can get Chislett into the team. If you're not going to drop a Sal or Radoni.
No. The thing is, with Sal and Radoni, they're playing wide, aren't they? And I prefer Chislett just behind in a number 10. So I think it's just square pegs round holes today. But it's good, like I said, to have that option on the bench in case we need to change shape again.
And that's the thing. I think if we change shape, Chislett's a good option. But when you're starting off with the 5-3-2 low block, there isn't really. He doesn't fit into that anywhere really, unless you are dropping Radoni, or are you?
Low block. It's just.
Yeah.
When you're sticking men behind the ball.
Yeah.
When you're keeping the team in shape. We'll call it low block because it sounds fancier.
Yeah. We're in 2022 now, Nick. You can't stick to the 90s.
So I wish we could. What was that, sorry? Recycling.
Yeah.
So that's the other one. But yes, everyone should recycle, of course. Pat Hayes says no Brown.
He's on the bench today.
Yeah,
again, where'd you put him in if you played?
If it was me, I would have liked to see him play left centre back of the back three instead of Paul Callaway. Just because of experience, he's left footed, but also he did have tested positive for COVID, so maybe he's just got a bit late with his fitness or back in training a bit late, and we've gone with Paul Callaway. So
I do think you can't put him as a wing back when you've got in this shape, just because you're so reliant on attacking strength, and we've seen that ain't Brownie's strength. Just because he ain't that great getting forward. Defensively on the left of the three, he could do it. But again, you're in the situation of when someone's just coming back from COVID in this game, is that the one where you say, let's put you in the new position? And it's the same as what's come up on the screen about putting Radoni straight down the middle. I don't think this is the game or indeed the time of season to try players out in new positions. I think you've got to just stick to what players know and feel comfortable with.
In terms of how... Oh, there's the four. Do we have to?
Let's get rid of that. We don't need to see that. No one needs to see that today, Stu.
We are unbeaten in one, so we need to carry on that. That is putting a positive spin on things. I was going to mention, we're talking about Radoni playing up top as a one, maybe. I mean, a lot also, how do we look at their shape? They play with the back three as well, don't they? So they still have three centre halves. It's hard, isn't it? Especially a player like Radoni. Cosgrove still not involved.
On the bench.
He is on the bench. Yes. I missed him on the bench. So there you go. If you had a Cosgrove from the start, I think you probably could put really maybe as a two, trying to play off the big man against three centre halves. But
I don't think, because the big problem is when you put one up against the three centre backs, that play gets marked out of the game pretty much instantly. Yeah. And it's about how can you allocate players around that to make sure it works.
I think Radoni's good in the box, and he's got quite a lot of headers, but it's different when you're on number 9 with your back to goal, big defenders. You're asking too much of him, and
especially when you're on your own.
Yeah, Zach Robinson's on, he's on good confidence. He's got goal and assist. I don't think there's a need to change it there.
And also, Zach ain't going to be playing back to goal, trying to play hold-ups. That's just going to be playing on the shoulder and getting behind, trying to play on the counter-attack, and that's not Rudy's strength. Fixtures, okay. Fixtures obviously today. Obviously, the game here at Plough Lane. Obviously, massive game here at Plough Lane today between us and Milton Keynes. And then the other games around League One today: Bolton Wanderers versus Sheffield, Burton versus Plymouth, Cambridge versus Morecambe, Cheltenham Portsmouth, Doncaster versus Crewe, Fleetwood Accrington, Gillingham Wycombe, Lincoln Wigan, Oxford, Sunderland, Rotherham, Charlton, Shrewsbury, Ipswich. Rob, any games there that we have to keep a particular eye on today?
Well, it's going to be all the ones in and amongst us, isn't it? And for me, I feel like they all have quite good fixtures. Cambridge, Accrington, Stanley, for example, they're not really teams fighting for relegation or promotion, so or playoffs. So you'd hope they're not on the beach, so to speak. But we will be keeping an eye on scores in amongst us. Morecambe, Gillingham, Fleetwood are the ones we're going to be keeping an eye out. But the most important thing is we just need to start picking up points ourselves. There's no, you need to start putting these pressure on the teams in and around you, and by picking up 3 points, it's been a long time since we've done that. So
the teams around us, not the teams in us.
Is that what I said? In us?
Yeah. There's no teams in us.
That would be weird. You mentioned teams being on the beach, even there.
Yep.
T4. Do you ever watch T4 on the beach? Is that still a thing?
I've heard of it, never seen it.
Does that still happen?
T4 on
They
the
used to
beach.
go down to Western. They used to go down to Western Supermare.
Okay.
And I was like, and then there was a season we actually played Western Supermare, and it was a bit like.
What did they do on the beach at Western
They
Supermare?
said like a concert, like lots of like the popular beat combos of the time.
Fair enough.
Like Girls Aloud. You might have heard of them, George. Or not.
We're getting some very strange looks from the viewing gallery today. This happens every time Nick's on, I should say.
Where my mind goes, nobody knows. That is the league table. So we mentioned. My worry today is that if we lose and Morecambe and Fleetwood, with their both, like you just said, winnable games, then you're looking at 7 points with 12 points left to play for. It becomes a mammoth turnaround task. So I think today could be pivotal in that regard. The frustration, as I said, some people might think somewhat ludicrously on the podcast, but I stand by it. I can see 4 wins out of those 5 games.
Yeah, I was listening to the podcast on the way in, and I was going to question you about that when I saw you.
I haven't listened to this week's but I'm sitting with Robert here on this one, and 4 wins.
4 wins. Crewe away, Fleetwood away, Accrington at home, because Accrington, as you say.
Nick, I don't know if you've seen the league table. We've won six games all season.
Yeah, but nothing lasts forever.
4 in our last 4, basically.
Mikey T is giving you the most weirdest look.
Yes, Mikey T is behind the camera today, and I'm not sure if he figured out what he stumbled into.
It's nice someone else in the studio is getting that confused look, because it's normally me when I'm saying something, so it's nice someone else is taking that responsibility today.
100%.
Crewe Doncaster today, because we want Crewe to still not bob when we play them.
Yes.
If they're down when we play them.
It's good.
Different game. If they give themselves something to fight for,
True.
That's going to be a bit. I don't think we can pick them up because they'll have to come forward. And even we can probably pick them up.
Well, you'd hope so.
And hopeful from Mikey T, they're full of confidence. But so potentially 7 points off. Do you think if we don't win today, do you think that is next to game over, or
it depends on the other results?
Yeah.
Because Fleetwood and Crewe are 2 huge games still left.
Yeah, it'll be a case of just waiting to see what happens at 5 o'clock when the results come in. As Nick said, if we don't pick up anything today and the other 2 pick up 3 points, then it looks like a mammoth task. If they also manage to drop points, we're still in a fight, because as Nick said, we've got fixtures. I don't quite believe we're going to win 4 of the last 5 fixtures, but Crewe, Fleetwood and Accrington are winnable games. Wickham obviously are fighting for playoffs, and today's a tough game, so obviously, like I said, we'll see come 5 o'clock today.
Now, obviously, I think it is one of the things we have to look at in this. You can see it on screen there, or you could see it on screen there. Thank you to Stuart Deacons. Please, Bike, if you are watching this, please run. I don't care how bad the traffic is on your way from Wembley. Paul Campbell, thank you so much for watching from Galway. We understand we get a lot of international viewers for this, and viewers from all over the UK as well. It's great to have all your support. Send in your questions and we'll answer as many of them as you can. We've got Tom Large, if you're here at Plough Lane, we've got Tom Large walking around the fan zone. If you see him, have a word and we'll try and get you on the screen as well. They got Anthony Papes, Nick not getting the best out of Jack Rudoni out wide, or dropping back in midfield, which is what will happen. What do you think about that?
He'll drop back into midfield defensively, as Stu pointed out on the podcast this week. The wide players, Rudoni Nasser, will drop in to keep our shape and help out defensively. It's utilising him and Ayub on the break as and when we can.
I think it's his not getting the best out of Rudoni out wide, but he's probably our top scorer this season, and his goals, he's been playing out wide all season. He's not played through the middle, his goal, because I think as we're playing out wide, you're less likely to get picked up and marked, isn't it? You can kind of come into the box quite late. If through the middle, you've got 2 big centre halves. So, like I said, I don't think Jack Rudoni playing out wide is much of an issue, but I think he's going to be asked to work a bit more harder defensively.
Johnny Mortar, today is the day, lads. Womble born and bred, lived in I can't read what that is. Gap Road most of my life and regular to Plough Lane from
the 70s.
From the 70s, thank you, Stu. Please get here as quickly as you can. Johnny, I think that's the thing. I think a lot of us today, emotional day for all of us here, really. And it's one of those days where it's the day we could really start making an impact and hopefully can kickstart the rest of our season. Joined now by Anne-Marie Godfrey. Anne-Marie.
Hello. With her one appearance for AFC Wimbledon ladies.
Yeah, that's it.
I learned on Tuesday night.
15 minutes as a sub and a finisher. But
15 minutes of fame, eh?
I did so well, they never called me back. So,
You also left the impression to be invited onto the same panel as Lyle and David Connolly. It was
I
trio
was
of
quite,
ex-Wimbledon
wow.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of in shock. It was really,
Not
really
quite the same panel with me and George Jones, is it? As Lyle and David Connolly.
I could just sit and listen to Lyle. He just needs to do audiobooks or something.
Yeah, when he retires, he just needs to Lyle Taylor podcast.
Oh, without a doubt.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Did you listen to his podcast? Did you listen to Aaron's podcast?
Yes, I did.
Obviously,
yeah,
yes.
I put in the chat on the way up here. I've been listening to you guys on the way. So
Have
I do
you
apologise.
heard, you heard Nick Draper predict 4 wins in the last 5 games?
I'm backing Nick on this
Oh,
one. I'm
no.
happy to
The
back
voice of
Nick.
sense. There you go.
You haven't won in 23.
Yeah,
So I don't know what's going on.
I'm meant to be the optimistic one on this. We have something's gone quite wrong if I'm not the optimistic one.
Your happy clappiness is wearing
my
off on
happy
others.
clappiness is, finally after 4 months of doing the show, others are starting
It
to feel
takes
happy.
a lot of energy to be that happy.
Yeah.
But I
Nick.
mean, I hear you. But in terms, I did listen to the podcast with Mark Bowen, with Aaron Paul, and actually some of the things he said there were really interesting.
Encouraging, weren't they?
Yeah, and just really around. I want to teach people how to win games, and I know that sounds so basic and so simplified, but like in terms of coming away from maybe development and just getting back to making those key decisions in matches. Like I said in this, there's no better chance than to do that today and get it right.
You mentioned there Mark Bowen. It's obviously we'll chance to show you the team news now for in case we've got anyone else just joining us as we go. I'm sorry. Just a question: win, draw or lose when we play them? It reminds us we came from nothing to Plough Lane.
Can I just clarify if that's Angelo V or Angelo the Fifth?
So Rob, Angelo V. Do you think today is all about how far we've come, regardless of what happens in the 90?
Yeah, every time I come back to Plough Lane, it's a reminder. Every time I come here, like it's, obviously it's been a bit of a disappointing season, but we all wanted to return back to Plough Lane. Every time I come here, it reminds us of how much we have achieved from where we come, from the start to now.
And then Anne-Marie, the team news up in case anyone else is just joining it. Your reaction to seeing that team news?
I mean, I don't know if there's more to. Is Shocker injured? I saw that on the web, obviously, seeing that Callum Bayou's come in. I mean, he brings a bit of, strength and physicality at the back there. I can see why we've done that. With Guinness Walker, obviously, it's interesting that Bowen's maybe seen something in training in him this week. I'm a big Nesta fan. It's great to see him back, but obviously I also feel a little bit of unease at swapping things around with the lineup in the last couple of games when we've seen things have been a bit more promising, making changes. Let's see how it plays out, but you have to trust the gaffer. He knows far more than I do.
Well, Nick, so what do you think about that then? Obviously, is it a worry that we are having to change things from what has been a sort of reasonably successful 2 games?
There's always that, especially with Dan Chocker, and again, it's no comment on Callum Baye. It's just the fact that I thought Chocker's come in and he's played really, really well. And I think across the season, if you look at someone that's turned fan opinion around, I don't think there's anyone more than him. Because I think people were not sure at the start of the season. I think as time's gone on, he's really proved himself. So yeah, you want that understanding. Paul Osu dropping out for Nesta. I mean, Nesta came on for the final stage, didn't he, on Tuesday night? And I think I'm not as worried about that in a sort of defensive way. I think Nesta, if you can get him forward and really help him out, help Ayub out, then there's a bonus in there. So it is what it is. The spine of the team's the same. I think that's really the key thing. Like, if you think goalkeeper, Will, then 2 centre midfielders, 3 on top. I'm too overly concerned. I am worried about the opposition and what they have. That's what I'll say.
No, you mentioned the opposition. There's been some eventful games between us over the last couple of years. Seamless transition. It's taken us half an hour, but we're finally starting to get on the same wavelength. Now, I don't know, but any of you at this game, obviously EFL Trophy, back when it was I'm trying to remember. I think it was it the EFL Trophy called that, or was it Johnson's Paint when we played this?
Johnson's
I think
Paint.
it was still the Johnson's Paint when it was there.
Mikey's nodded his head at Johnson Paint, and Mikey is never wrong. So you know, fountain of knowledge.
Mikey T, incredible contributions. And as you've just seen, the Aziz goal through there. Were any of you at this one?
I was.
Oh, were you?
I was in the bizarrely. It was one of the most horrendous experiences of my life, in the sense of I agreed to go in the press box for this one, for the South London Press. So it was a strange experience having to sort of go
just make it
into
look
the
discreet.
stadium in a different way as opposed to being in the away end. And it was a bit awkward, but we got the win. And
No, it's just they just dropped it.
A rare win as well. Wasn't it?
a rare win. The first one against them, and only one of two. So, but we fully deserved it on the night, and we scored a cracking winning goal. It is.
Yeah. Akinfenwa doing what he does best of basically bullying just two defenders completely out of the game. And then Sean Rigg, blast from the past. Absolutely incredible run, great ball in, and then that finish right at the death. Do you think that was an important moment in our history, Emery, just that first win against them?
I think that's what it is, you know, even though the competition doesn't carry as much kind of prestige as other times, or it would have been better to beat them in the league or in the FA Cup. But it's that first one, and
I included the
I think even just going back there, I think people don't give enough credit to Sean Rigg. Actually, looking back, he did really, really well for us.
But I didn't put anyone.
But obviously, we talked about this match, didn't we, on Tuesday, and Lyle's reflection on that, I think actually reflected on how a lot of fans felt as well. Like, when those goals went in, you don't necessarily remember it happening, but you remember how it made you feel.
This game, I think we're all, we've all got incredible memories of, this night at Kings Meadow under the lights.
The biggest thing I remember about this night is the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we recreate that today, first time. Then come into our place at Plough Lane, and I'm hoping it's a similar atmosphere today. Because I remember it was intense that night, and obviously to go on to get the 2-0 win, and who better than Lyle Taylor to kind of scored a winning goal, so to speak. So it's fantastic night, fantastic memories.
And what was great about that night as well, and even reinforced by what Taylor was saying on Tuesday
Very
night, is they got it. They got what it was about. They totally got
normally,
it. Well, I hope we see that from the
you can see that already.
Obviously, this game, Nick, gave us that incredible picture of Lyle celebrating the goal we've just seen.
Yeah, running away with the blue smoke behind him. Iconic moment.
And he's not announcing their subs.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Get away with whatever, you know what I mean?
So now, yeah,
I'll tell you one thing, I know we've got the League Cup game here as well, but Amber mentioned about Sean Rigg being that's underrated. Also looking at the highlights when we beat Kings Meadow, James Shea is another one. I think we forget how
we
good
haven't
he
got
was
to mention their name.
how well he played on
But that's what I mean.
What's James Shea doing at the moment then?
He plays for Luton Town, who are currently in the playoffs in the
I
Championship.
was just thinking.
James Shea, future Premier League goalkeeper.
He puts the bag in.
Well, I want to go out to fans.
I'm going to throw it out there as well for that time where we had to go up the road to Milton Keynes, and Joe McDonnell ended up stepping in for injury.
At the last
I think we
minute.
got a 0-0.
Yeah.
And that's massive in hindsight,
Joe McDonnell playing
Joe
at
McDonnell
MK.
stepping up for us as a backup
For
keeper after
0-0.
an injury, and we got a 0-0. And that was, to step in into
Yeah,
that
last
position last minute in that match.
He made a great save as well. That was
Yeah.
a 1-1.
No, I don't remember. I know.
So fair play to him.
We're retreating.
And then obviously this we're just showing it through the final game of this round.
Charlton Athletic.
That
No,
absolutely, well, it's a memorable League Cup night. Obviously not as memorable for Joe Pigott. As we have just seen there, that ball nearly collided with Simon Bassey's penalty at Sutton several years ago in terms of hitting Coney Hall, but it was at Sutton, wasn't it? Getting a nod of approval from Mikey T there, that's me sorted for the rest of the season.
And that's what I was
But
kind of
yeah, awful
I
penalty.
know I
Nick.
must run over the
Yeah, you just got.
Thanks for that.
Well, unfortunately,
Thanks
the
for
one was
that
he
insight,
missed on the normal.
Yeah.
And he tried to go low.
I don't
and
take it
shoot
actually
at
before
it,
that.
bury it up, and
I'll tell you what, this is what we do not need today. Any silly yellows, red cards. I think Nesta, 2 silly yellow cards he kind of gave away here, and it was an uphill task when we went to their place early in the season.
It's interesting you say that, isn't it? Because you do see some fans saying these are the kind of matches you want us to see getting yellows to show the players care and getting these challenges in. But equally, It's a difficult balance
You need
because
to
you
toe
want
the
to see
line, don't
that,
you?
want to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
the passion, but equally you don't want to be picking up things for silly. We're not being sensible, making sloppy errors.
Especially when you look at what we saw on Tuesday with the Charlton, where it was just a rash challenge from their player to go down to 10. Anything like that today from us puts us at a real disadvantage. How important is that discipline, Nick, today, where we just need to go, everyone has to do their jobs and not make that silly mistake? They can get them sent off, like we saw at the away game.
I think it's a really, really fine line and a really difficult thing to balance, because I think what we see on a couple of occasions when we've played this fixture up in Milton Keynes, a couple of occasions where and it was under Neil Lardley specifically, he had us so well drilled, had us so much in shape, but it was all about just keeping your head, sticking to the plan, sticking to the tactics. And when you do that, you do sort of take a little bit out of the edge out of you.
Yep.
And I think we saw that one time. I think we lost 1-0. I think it was a penalty. I thought Milton Keynes weren't particularly great at that time. I think we could have done a little bit more. If we'd had a little bit more edge to us, a few more stronger tackles, a little bit of getting the blood pumping kind of thing, we might have got the result. But then exactly as you say, and as Anne-Marie says there, it's such a fine line, because then you can get into instances where you just start making silly mistakes and you go too far and you cross that line and it becomes a problem. So you've really got to keep. Really, what we need to go back to the 80s when Vinnie Jones could steam in on Steve McMahon in the first 30 seconds and get away with it.
I'll now look at the referee.
And that was my next comment, really. As a referee, they're going to go completely understandably into this match thinking match control for this is they're going to have the top referee out there, and that's going to be on their mind as soon as they go in, and players will know that there's going to be that fine balance between going in for these hard challenges, but also knowing that's what we need from that.
Can I just say that Ryan Innes challenge reminded me of Vinnie Jones? It would have been play on in the 80s, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Play on, pat on the back from the referee. Good challenge early doors in the cup final. Move on.
That's it.
Can we just give a mention to Maxim?
Yeah, Maxim tuning in from South Africa. Come on, you dons, and I think that's something that's just
got to be our transfer summer signing.
Tuning in from South African bush, South Africa.
Nothing about Maxim on the Lost in Bush. But thank you.
Yeah, well, I think it's another question. I don't know what's happening, but it sounds like there's 2 or 3 separate conversations going on. That is because Stuart Deakins was accidentally recording the audio when he was doing the editing on that video you played earlier, so apologies for that. But that was entirely Stuart Deakins' fault, not mine whatsoever.
So instead of sack George, we're sacking Stu
for a change? We're sacking Stu for
a
change.
Okay.
Now, before we move on to our sort of final thoughts and the peak build-up going into this game, it is, we do, the men's team obviously here today, the women's team playing here tomorrow against Harlow Town. Tickets are available on the website. It's our final game here at Plough Lane this season. Now, Marie, we'll start off with you. How great is it that the women's team have been here getting some incredible crowds and have had a really successful season?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like we've said before, you think like 3-4 years ago, the setup was completely different. It was really threadbare, and it's opening up so many options for younger girls coming through the foundation and through the sort of girls' academy. It gives them a kind of vision, and they can buy into that and see. It's only what Phil Brown was talking about actually on the podcast this week. They see that if they're going off to see women play at stadiums, that could be me one day, and it's really, really great for the young girls coming through.
Now, Nick, obviously you are a teacher. Is the younger girls actually going and watching football, seeing football in stadiums? Do you think that is helping them see a pathway into sport?
No, in all seriousness, we were just wondering where that was going for a moment. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, there's been a huge uptake. Since we've returned after lockdown, there's been a huge uptake in girls playing football. It's something that was never. I teach an all-girls school. We never saw football played at breaks or lunches, and now there's so many of them out there, kicking balls around. We've got all our inter-house competitions going off, which kick off again after Easter. Not that anyone from my school is watching this right now. There's me sort of going to plug my side. Yeah. No one's going to care. But it does, and the profile of women's game is huge at the moment. And I think you're right. The key thing is it's getting girls involved in sport, and that's massively important. You
know what impressed me? I noticed Barcelona ladies played Real Madrid ladies, and over 90,000 fans turned up for that, and that goes to show that where the women's game is heading, isn't it? There's more and more interest.
And that's the interest is going up. We've had some incredible crowds. We've had over 1,500 people for some of our games here. We had over, we've got nearly 1,000 here for a midweek game. We've got a player away on international duty at the moment with Hungary Hungary under-19s. There's incredible success stories all the way through our system. Obviously, we've got a massive cup final in 2 weeks as we play Nottingham Forest at Solihull Moors. Neil Ardley, has he gone to Notts County yet?
I was just going to ask George, on the weekend of the cup final, are you having to go up to Fleetwood? Are you staying over somewhere? Have you booked a hotel?
So I'm in Fleetwood because it's no surprise I'm not missing the Fleetwood game.
Obviously.
And then I'm travelling to stay in the team hotel on the Saturday night.
Privileges, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Where is the team hotel?
I'm not giving out that information on air, or to you, I should say.
Well, because Nick walks up with his suitcase.
Yeah.
In case the opposition starts scouting.
Just setting off a ton of pyro and drums outside our hotel overnight.
I'm sure that's the sort of thing that will happen. Sorry, what was the question?
I don't know, I think we've gone completely off
If it
track.
helps, what I will say is that as from Dons for Diversity, what we're doing is sponsoring one of the seats on the coach up to the cup final for the women's game. So there will be more details coming out about that.
Yeah, so there is a coach running. It's leaving here at 7 a.m. Sunday morning. Like you said, Dons for Diversity have kindly sponsored one of the seats on it to help as many of our fans as possible travel up to Solihull. It is an early kick-off, sadly, at 11 o'clock. But, it'd be great to get as much support there on the 24th and here tomorrow as we can to make sure we have the best possible send-off for the girls before their cup final. Moving our attention back to today's men's game. Zach Thompson cheers from a rainy and snowy Indianapolis. Nick, fair to say it's not rainy or snowy today here at Plough Lane. Starting to get into the summer months.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's awful. Where's the nice weather gone? Sorry.
I'll leave this to Nick.
So Maxine, hello Maxine.
Oh dear.
Cheers guys, had a stressful morning. Thought a rhino got shot, false alarm. Hoping for a win to top the previous game. That is a stressful morning. Who was it? I mean, a rhino.
He was from the South African bush.
Of course.
Maxim.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's not a fox and you weren't plugging it to death or whatever.
If we win today, I will get
conceded.
Wanderlust on the back of my shirt.
Nice. We won't ask what number.
No.
You can imagine. Right, sorry George, you were asking. The weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, sunning out.
Weirdly, we stay on topic when you're not on this panel, but
Yeah, strange that.
yeah, almost like there's a correlation.
It's a strange day weather in all seriousness. There was a bit of a wind picking up and that can always play a little bit of havoc with a team if you're... But then I guess the opposition today very much like to keep it on the floor, don't they? They're not knocking long balls up to the top, even though they've got three big lads up top. I don't know how much of a part the conditions are really going to play, if I'm being honest with
Pitch
you.
is looking good.
Yeah, I was going to move on to that. I'll go to you, Emery. Pitch looking much better than it was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, it had that rest break without us or the Broncos playing on it. Do you think it's almost come at a bad time, having a nice pitch?
Do you know what? I was just thinking that because, like Nick said, the opposition do play some good football on the floor, but and could we? I know back in the days in Kings Meadow, maybe there would have been some things going on to rough up the pitch a little bit, but it's looking good, and ultimately, I know football does come down to these fine margins, but there's many other things in the match we can control today.
And Rob Boyce, as we bring the show to a conclusion, we'll have a score prediction.
It's the biggest question you're going to be asked this season.
Yeah.
What do I say to this one? I'm going to go with a draw. I think it's going to be a draw.
Any?
1-0.
There we go. Got there in the end. Anne-Marie.
I think it will be a draw as well, but I expect it will be maybe a bit more lively, so maybe I'll go 2-2.
And Nick?
Well, this is our first win of 4 in the run-in of the season, so obviously I'm going for... We won't keep it... I'll be amazed if we keep a clean sheet, but I'll go for a 2-1.
Well, I was going to say the same, so I'll say 3-1 win. Now we'll go to Mikey T, who wants to say something.
Wimbledon Luton FA Cup semi-final on this day in 1988. Wimbledon 2-1 winners.
There we go. So Mikey T echoing Nick Draper's thoughts of a 2-1 victory for the Dons. Stuart Deacons, would you put your neck out from behind there? No, he's shaking his head. Stu's pretending he doesn't exist and isn't going to express an opinion. So that's all we've got time for on today's show. So thank you so much for watching us. We are back on air after the final whistle. We're going to be on air from about 10 past, 5:15 with a bit of a delay. And hopefully you'll be able to join us then, and hopefully we'll be celebrating 3 points for the Dons.
Come on, you Dons.
You Dons.